Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Hannah. I am a historian and a museum exhibition manager in the south of England. I'm a big fan of theatre and books. I started this YouTube channel because theatre and books don't tend to cross over with my day job too much, and I really enjoy talking about them. So I thought that if I just started my own thing, then I would be able to talk about sort of what I wanted. So that is why we are here. Today's video is a little bit strange, and I do worry if it might come across a little bit bitty, because I actually already filmed this video. I filmed it about 3 weeks ago, but last night in London there was an event for the launch of a show, which is the show that I'm going to be talking about, and we got some new information, new casting information, so I thought I'll just re-record it from the beginning. We'll start again, and hopefully I don't repeat or I don't forget to talk about what I talked about in the other one, because I have a feeling I'm going to think I've already said it. But anyway, we'll carry on. There's not going to be too much structure to this video. I just mainly wanted to have a chat about this show because I absolutely loved it when I saw it earlier this year, and it felt like no one had seen it. So I'm really excited for more people to be getting excited about this show. So the show that I'm talking about is The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. I've got my programme here from the Chichester Festival Theatre run. This was the first show that I ever saw at Chichester Festival Theatre. I didn't actually realise how close I lived to it. It's not too far away from me, and as far as regional theatres go, it's a really lovely one. I hadn't realised they did so many sort of new works. I know they've got another play, which I should have looked at the name of before I started this, that was on just after this, but has just been announced to be going to the West End as well, which is really exciting. But back to the show that I wanted to talk about. It is based on a book by Rachel Joyce, and she actually wrote the stage show as well. So there's a lot of the story that sort of is the same. It is exactly how you would want to see it on stage. And the music is by Passenger. Now, I have heard a couple of Passenger songs. I'm not like a big music person. I don't know loads and loads of songs, but the songs in this are absolutely fantastic. It's very sort of country folk music, sort of English countryside folk music, not country. But it's really amazing, and it is actually a album on, well, it's on Spotify or wherever. But it's been released as sort of, it's passengers singing the songs, so it doesn't sound like a show soundtrack. It just sounds like you're listening to really good music, which is great if you're like me and when you get in the car you like to listen to show tunes, but say you're giving a colleague a lift somewhere or picking friends up from the train station, both of which have happened to me recently. It doesn't sound like you're just listening to musicals, it just sounds like a good album. So I would recommend you go and listen to it, because it won't spoil the show either, which I also really like. So if you're looking to go and see the show but you don't want any sort of spoilers for it, if you've not read the book or seen the film, listen to the music and you'll get a feel for it without getting any sort of... Actually, saying that, there is one song towards the end of the album that will give a little bit of the story away, but I think that's by the by for a musical. Sorry if I keep looking down. I've got my little notebook of all the things that I wanted to hit. So once I get through these, it'll just be much more discussion about this show. So I went to see this show earlier this year at the Minerva Theatre in Chichester, which is the smaller of their two performance spaces. I saw it in June, and as soon as I came out of that theatre, I was desperate to see this show again, but it was quite late in the run and it had pretty much sold out, so I was really lucky to get a ticket, because it was just me and I could sort of go whenever. I managed to find a ticket that was sort of right at the front of the stage. I was the only person in the row as well, and I was pretty much sat on the stage because the whole thing was done in the round and the entrance, or one of the entrances, was right next to me. I'll put some pictures in now of just how close I was. And I really sort of felt like I was part of it, just because people were using those entrances and sort of talking to the audience. It was one of those type of shows. and I just absolutely loved it. And it's, I think, one of the best shows that I've seen this year. It actually was in my top spot for a while. It was almost unseated by The Great Gatsby, but on reflection I actually think Gatsby comes just below this. The only thing that's hit it off that top spot is Evita, which I almost think sits outside of theatre rankings, because that was just a whole nother level. But the fact that this regional production sits so highly in my ranking, I think speaks quite a lot to just how amazing this show was. So when I saw this show, the cast was amazing. So we had Mark Addy as Harold Fry, Jenna Russell as Maureen Fry, his wife, and then Jack Wolf as the balladeer. And all three were amazing. I've seen Jack in Next to Normal. I saw that 3 times. I'd never seen Jenna Russell or Mark Addy in anything before, but had obviously heard of them. I mean, I saw Mark Addy in Game of Thrones, but I'd not seen them in any theatre before, and they were both fantastic. And then when this show got announced for the West End, we heard that Mark and Jenna were already attached to it, so I was really, really excited. As soon as I got the pre-sale access, I managed to book tickets for me and a couple of members of my family who have been hearing me rave about this show since June. So we've all got a trip planned next year, which I'm really excited about. The balladeer this time is not going to be played by Jack Wolf. It is Noah Mullins, who I believe has been working in Australia in Hadestown as Orpheus, which is what Jack Wolf is currently doing on Broadway, which is strange. It's sort of strange parallel for those two. And looking at the videos that came out yesterday from that launch event, I actually can't wait. I'm so excited to see this show again. And after hearing a couple of the songs that were performed by Noah Mullins, I'm really excited to hear his take on that character. It's such an interesting role, and it changes so much throughout the show that I'm really excited to see him sort of get into it, and I really hope that it's just as amazing as I remember. It is going to the Theatre Royal Haymarket, which is not a theatre that I've been to. Just as a little aside, I've set myself a challenge to try and visit every theatre in London. I've got a decent way through that list. I've ticked a few more theatres off this year, but the Haymarket is one I haven't been to, so this goes towards that goal. The only thing that I was a little bit hesitant about is I think a lot of the charm of this show came from it being so intimate. So a lot of the time you were sort of right there feeling the emotions of the characters and hearing them sing and what have you, which I know you get in a theatre. But obviously the Haymarket is a lot bigger than the Minerva, so I really hope that it translates well, because this show was just so brilliant in that space that I hope it does sort of scale up in the way that I want it to for this new run. I mean, the main reason I wanted to talk about this is because from June, when I first saw this show, I have been raving about it to anyone who will listen, and it feels like no one saw it. I didn't see any sort of theatre influencers go in to see it. I didn't see much sort of discourse about it on social media, and I was just really shocked by that because it was such an amazing show. And I know people are busy, and I know that maybe for a smaller regional show like that, they don't get as much of a buy-in. But because it's already based on quite a successful book and a film, I thought there would be more people sort of engaged and ready to go in and see this. It was quite a strange audience when I was there, because I'm assuming for the Minerva it's got like a set audience of local people who will just go and see anything there. So I was sort of a bit of an outlier age-wise. I was quite a bit younger than a lot of people in the room, which I usually am when I go to shows because I've got a bit of a weird taste in what I want to go and see. But I just really hope that now that we've got a full cast announcement for London, and we've had that launch event, so people have had a chance to hear some of that material and heard a little bit more from the creators, that more people will want to go and see it. Because I think it'll be a real shame if people miss it or sort of hear about it after the fact, which I feel like is a bit of a thing that happens. I've done it with a couple of shows where I've been like, oh no, I won't go and see that. And then I've heard about it and I've got like the worst FOMO. Recently Sunset Boulevard is my one of those, because after seeing Evita, I'm just kicking myself that I never went to see Sunset. So yeah, if you're looking for a sign to go and see this show, take it from me now. This is me giving it to you. Like, you have to see this show. It is on in London from the 29th of January to the 18th of April next year. So it is a limited run, but you've got a decent amount of time. As of filming this, there's quite a lot of tickets left, but I'm not sure how that event last night will have changed that, whether now that people have heard a little bit more about it and seen a little bit more and heard a little bit more, whether those tickets will start selling. I really hope they do. But at the same time, on a selfish note, I kind of hope they don't, so that if we get towards the end of that run and I want to do another last minute trip, I'm still able to. I might have to book those tickets in now though, because it genuinely was one of my best shows of this year. I just really, really enjoyed it. I think there's something really quite exciting about this show going to London. I can't remember if I've said it on here before, but I live relatively close to London. It's relatively easy for me to get to, and I'm really fortunate in the fact that because of the job that I work, which is sort of Monday to Friday 9 to 5, I'm able to afford to go to the theatre quite a lot, and I've got the sort of freedom. I don't have any sort of ties on a weekend to keep me to one place. I can just sort of head off into London and go to see a show, or to Chichester and see a show, which I know is a really fortunate place to be in, and not a lot of people are. But it felt like for a while we were getting a lot of the same type of show coming through the West End. Like, there's not been that many shows recently that I've been really, really excited about. I mean, vibes wise, I would say this is quite similar to The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which I also saw earlier this year and loved. But that was another one that felt very sort of homegrown almost. It felt like a very British show. And it was based on an existing sort of story, but sort of became its own thing outside of that. And I think this musical has done that. I hadn't actually read the book The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, but while I was in Chichester on that day, I downloaded it on my Kindle and read half of it, and loved it, and then saw the show, and then I was really glad that I hadn't read the end of it, because I got to sort of experience that story in the theatre for the first time. And then I was really pleasantly surprised, because when I read the book, it did live up to the sort of expectations I had of it. And I think that sort of speaks to the writing and the fact that it was the same person doing the book and the show. So yeah, realised I just went on a complete tangent to what I was saying. But it seems like for the last couple of years we've had a lot of shows coming through the West End that have sort of burnt really bright and quickly, and then very quickly gone away again. I'm thinking of, even to an extent, things like Mean Girls or Clueless, or ones like based on 80s and 90s films, or even to an extent ones like Why Am I So Single, that came out to this massive sort of fanfare and it felt like everyone went to see it and then it was gone again. We've had quite a few of those, so it's nice now that that shows are doing shorter runs, so this has a set run, and I mean, I've just booked tickets to Beetlejuice, which again has a set run, so it feels like it's not gonna burn itself out or peter out over time. It should have a really good, successful stint on the West End. And it also means that we can bring more shows through as well. So if we've got this sort of turnover of a couple of months, it means that we can get more theatre through. One thing I was really pleasantly surprised with about this show as well is, I mean, no West End ticket is cheap. These ones weren't ridiculous. They were really sort of almost comparable with some of the tickets at the Minerva, which is nice, because a lot of tickets recently, I mean, I've looked at shows recently that even myself, I going by myself couldn't justify paying ticket prices for. And this one's not like that, so as long as they haven't changed the pricing structure since I booked my tickets, yeah, you should be able to get tickets for a reasonable price. Take that with a grain of salt. I know that that is relative to everyone, and obviously, like I said, I'm quite lucky. I could choose when I wanted to go, how many tickets I was going with. It was a whole thing. But yeah, I would highly recommend this one. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say on the subject. I just wanted to get a video out about this, mainly because I wanted to be one of those really annoying people that was like, I was there when this first came out, I said this was going to be a good show, and it is. So yeah, I mean, I'm just sort of putting my hat in the ring or whatever, I suppose, just joining the conversation on this show, because I did genuinely enjoy it so much and I'm so excited to see it back. And I do think that you can't really get a better endorsement for a show than I've already seen it, and I was so excited to see it again that as soon as it was announced I bought tickets straight away. So yeah, let me know if you've seen this show. What did you think of it when it was at Chichester? Because it feels like I've not met anyone who saw this or who's seen this show. So I talk about the show to people and they have absolutely no idea what I'm on about. But if you did see this show, let me know. I would be really interested to hear your thoughts. And if this has made you want to see this show, let me know that as well, because that is really exciting and I hope that it lives up to your expectations of it. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for sort of tuning back in. Like I said, I'm not super consistent. I'm trying to be a bit more consistent. As long as I edit this tonight, it will be going up a week after my last video. So we are now at one video a week, which is where I sort of want to be. I'm really enjoying filming these. It sort of gives me something to focus on outside of work and something to sort of plough all of my interests and sort of bits of knowledge that don't get used anywhere else get put into my little YouTube videos. So I know we're not getting loads of views, but if even one person has found this interesting, then that is great. But yeah, thank you for watching and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!